Hey everyone, welcome to the ranking, and here's my ranking of Chris Pratt's movies. Yes, Chris Pratt is a huge movie star. He started off in the OC and Parks and Recreation, and now he's just in everything now. He's Star-Lord, he's Emmett from the Lego Movie, he's in Jurassic Park now. He's just in everything, and everyone just loves him, and you know what? I love him too. Chris Pratt has got charm, charisma, wit about him. And he's just a damn good actor, and I thought I'd celebrate all his movies by ranking them all from my least favorite to my favorite. However, there is a ruling with this ranking. I'm excluding some movies that he's in, but he doesn't play a crucial role in the film. Yeah, it's weird, but yeah, some of these movies he's actually not very big in, and big in the movie anyways, but I'm just gonna count them because, yeah, it's my ranking. I'm not including movies like Take Me Home Tonight, What's Your Number, Wanted, because he's barely in those movies, and he really doesn't play a crucial role. He basically, if you took him out of those movies, the movies would still be the same. So yeah, these are movies at least he's actually in, and he plays a crucial role, or somewhat of a crucial role in them, so yeah, here's my somewhat ranking of all of Chris Pratt's movies from my least favorite to my favorite. It doesn't make sense, but whatever, let's go with it. It's 13 movies I'm ranking, so yeah, let's get to it. Here's my ranking of all his movies. Alright, coming in at number 13 is movie 43. I had to include this because this has an all-star cast, and this is hands down one of the worst pile of shit comedies ever. This movie sucks the big dick. This movie is awful. I've mentioned this movie a bunch of times. This movie is just a god-awful piece of shit. Hands down the worst movie of 2013, and just a waste of a cast. Hugh Jackman, Kate Winslet, Chris Pratt, Anna Faris, Gerard Butler, Johnny Knoxville, Sean William Scott, Richard Gere, Emma Stone, Kieran Culkin. The list goes on. Leah Schreiber, Naomi Watts. All these actors are in this movie, and they're all playing these skits. And these skits are so unfrickin' funny. And that's the point. Oh, it's like one of the worst sketch comedies. That's why it's funny. It's not funny. It is unbearably god-awful and incredibly unfunny. I hate this movie. This movie is awful. And Chris Pratt's skit is one of the stupidest skits. The entire skit is him and Anna Faris. Basically, they're trying to lighten up their sex life, and basically she wants him to take a shit on her. That is the story of Chris Pratt's story. Him trying to take a shit on his wife. That's all I gotta say about this movie now. Just that. Coming number 12 is Bride Wars. Bride Wars, yeah, he actually is a pretty big role. He's like the fourth lead character in this movie. He's the husband or the fiancé of Anne Hathaway's character. This is a horrible romantic comedy. This is just a typical chick flick, you know, about these two friends. All they ever wanted to be is brides and a wedding and stuff. But their wedding falls on the same day, so they compete with each other. Why? I have no fucking idea. Some friends they get the same date, same wedding date, it's a competition. Some friends they are, right? And yeah, these are the most selfish fucking characters, in a romantic comedy. These two girls, all they give a shit about is their wedding. They don't even give a shit about their husbands. All they care about is their wedding and themselves and stuff. They don't even care about having a good marriage. They just focus on having a good wedding, and they compete with each other who has the best wedding and stuff. That is so superficial, so despicable, and so unlikable, and it's incredibly unfunny. This movie is just all like jokes and pranks against these two girls and stuff, and it's so unfunny, so cliched, and so formulaic, it's unbearable to watch. And Anne Hathaway and Kate Hudson are both awful in this movie. Anne Hathaway is better than this. Kate Hudson is definitely not. Chris Pratt is in this movie. He's just like this unlikable douche in the movie. And yeah, everything about this movie is unbearable. It's just your typical, predictable, cliched romantic comedy with zero jokes. It's awful. Coming number 11 is Delivery Man. Delivery Man is not Chris Pratt's movie. Again, he is a supporting role. He plays a friend of the lead character, which is Vince Vaughn. The story of this movie is about a guy who delivered his sperm, but his sperm went to like 50 women and they all had children or something, and so he has like all these kids out in this world, and he wants to find all his kids, all his sons and daughters and stuff, and yeah, that's okay, I guess. The story of this could have worked. It could have been a heartwarming, funny movie with Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn's funny. Not lately, but it's Hacksaw Ridge. He was pretty awesome in that, but he's just lost all his funny, and he's not funny in this movie. This movie's very predictable, generic, and by the books. It's not god-awful, it's just very forgettable and very by the books. It also has Kobe Smulders in this movie. a waste of a Colby Smulders, put her in an MCU movie or a funny comedy show. Not in this. Vince Vaughn is just he's Vince Vaughn. Chris Pratt actually has a couple funny scenes. He's actually the biggest positive about the film, but the film all in all is just very generic and just very forgettable. Coming number 10 is Passengers. Yes, I did a review of Passengers. I did not like this movie. This movie is directed by, what's his name, Morton Taldem, who directed The Imitation Game. Talk about a huge step down. This movie could have had a good idea, like the opening with Chris Pratt alone on the ship. If that was the whole movie, that would have been a more interesting movie, a survival about this one man woken up early, has to survive and save the ship, and then maybe he dies, and he saved all these people, and no one knew he was an unknown hero. That's a more interesting story than the actual story of this movie, which is fucking creepy. I don't know why this movie even was made. It's just so dumb. It could have had a potential to be a good movie, but it wasted it. Coming number 9 is the FiveYear Engagement. The FiveYear Engagement I've mentioned in my Emily Blunt ranking, so you all know my opinions of this movie. It's fine. Nicholas Stoller directed this movie. He did a fine job. Jason Segel, Emily Blunt are both fine in the movie. They both have good chemistry. Chris Pratt is one of the supporting roles. He's fine in the movie. That's basically what this movie is. It's just fine. It's, again, predictable. It's overly long. It's not very original or fresh or anything. It does have good performances by its leads. There is some funny jokes in this movie. There are some crude jokes. There is some chemistry. There's even some heartwarming scenes, but it's just kind of predictable and kind of, again, by the books. Chris Pratt played in a lot of movies that are very generic and very predictable and very by the books. However, and lower on this list, they did do some pretty cool original films. This, however, wasn't one of them. Coming number 8 is 10 Years. 10 Years is a film not a lot of people have seen because this is an independent dramatic comedy about basically a high school reunion. It's about a high school reunion. It's got Jenna Dewan, Channing Tatum, Chris Pratt and stuff. It's just a dramatic comedy about people catching up and talking about old times. It's very simple, and that's why it kind of works. It's simple. The performances are fine, the comedy's fine, the drama's fine, Chris Pratt is good, Jenna Dewan, Channing Tatum, they're all fine in this movie. The movie, again, isn't anything special and not anything groundbreaking. The dialogue isn't very witty all the time. It's not clever. The characters are pretty two-dimensional, but the movie works for what it is, a very simple story about people catching up. If you want to watch a movie about people catching up, it's fine for what it is. Nothing great, though. Coming number 7 is Jurassic World. Yes, Jurassic World was a pretty mixed reviewed movie, even though it's pretty positive Rotten Tomatoes. It did a killing in the box office, that's why we're getting another Jurassic World. But some people really didn't like it because they didn't capture the magic of the original Jurassic Park. And no, it's not as good as Jurassic Park. It'll never be as good as Jurassic Park. There will never be another Jurassic Park movie that is as good as Jurassic Park. Jurassic World is still a fine movie, very enjoyable movie. I actually do enjoy it more than the third and the second one. The movie is fun, entertaining. Bryce Dallas Howard, Chris Pratt, Vincent D'Onofrio are all fine. You also got B.D. Wong back, and this is what I always wanted to see from a Jurassic Park sequel. When Jurassic Park came out, I'm like, I bet the sequel should be about them opening the park and then the dinosaurs attacking all the fucking guests. And that's what this movie's about. That's what I always wanted from Jurassic Park. Again, not as good as Jurassic Park, but still a fun, entertaining movie. Coming number 6 is Her. Her would definitely be my number 1 if it was like a Joaquin Phoenix or Scarlett Johansson or Spike Jonze ranking. But Chris Pratt is just a supporting role. He's only in about 4 scenes in this movie. He plays the employee with Joaquin Phoenix. He's one of his friends and stuff, and it's a very supporting role. The movie itself is brilliant. I've praised this movie to death. Spike Jonze wrote and directed this movie amazingly well. Scarlett Johansson's voice acting is amazing. Joaquin Phoenix is great. It's a very unique and fresh take of a romance movie about a man falling in love with basically a computer, a robot, artificial intelligence and stuff. But Chris Pratt is in this movie, and he is charming, he's very likable, he's very funny. I love just how accepting he is of this weird relationship between Theodore and Samantha. Like, he just accepts it. He's like, oh, she's an OS. Oh, that's pretty cool. She's an operating system. Alright, right on. I love his character, I love his charm and his charisma in the movie, and yeah, it's a small performance, but a very good performance. Coming number 5 is Zero Dark 30. Zero Dark 30, he is only in one scene, but it's one big scene and one of the most important scenes in the entire film. He's one of the soldiers that goes and hunts Osama bin Laden in the third act of the film. The entire movie is just mostly Jessica Chastain and Jason Clarke's character looking for Osama bin Laden. It's mostly about codename Maya, who was played amazingly by Jessica Chastain and stuff, but the entire third act is all about the soldiers. One of them's Joel Edgerton, and the other one's like Chris Pratt and stuff. And they basically do the raid, and they hunt for Osama bin Laden, and they catch him in the end. And it's a great scene. It's a very intense scene. That entire third act scene is amazing. Tension, the cinematography, the tension, the sound mixing, the direction. It's just brilliant. The score, everything. And Chris Pratt does a great job playing a soldier. He is really good in the movie. I'm surprised he ever played in a lot more war movies after this one. But yeah, this movie is fantastic. Catherine Bigelow's direction, Mark Bull's writing, all the performances by the whole cast is brilliant. Zero Dark 30 is definitely a damn great film. It's a very controversial film, but a great film. Number 4 is Moneyball. Moneyball, again, is Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, Philip Seymour Hoffman's more of their sort of movie because they're bigger characters. It's about Billy Beane stuff. He's the general manager of the Oakland A's and stuff, and basically they're one of the most brokest team in the Major League Baseball. And basically he hires Jonah Hill, who is amazing at mathematics, and they use math to draft players to make their team better. And one of the players they draft is Chris Pratt, who was a catcher, but they put him on first base because he gets on base. What does he do? Gets on base. What does he do? Gets on base. I love Chris Pratt in this movie. He's a very sympathetic character because he got injured. He thought his dream of playing it in the Major League is gone. It's dead. But then here comes Billy Beane. He puts him on the Oakland A's, and he becomes a great baseball player. It's a great, inspirational, amazing sports film. It's not even really about the sports. It's about the math. And I love this movie. This movie's fantastic. Bennett Miller's direction, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill are amazing, and Chris Pratt is just as good in this movie. And he is in this movie with A-list actors, and he holds his own, and he's great in the film. The film itself is just amazing. Coming number 3 is The Magnificent Seven. The Magnificent Seven, I put ahead of Moneyball and Her, even though those were better films. He's just a bigger character in this movie. That's why I put it at number 3, because this is just such a fun movie. One of the most underrated movies of last year. Some people they have some sticks up their asses. This is just a fun movie. It's not as good as the original Magnificent Seven. It's definitely not as good as Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, but it's a fun, entertaining cowboy movie. Antoine Fuqua directed it so well. Chris Pratt, Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke, all of them are great in this movie. It's got a great cast, great action. It's just a great fun Western movie. If you love fun Westerns, you'll love this one. Number 2 is the Lego Movie. Yes, everything is awesome. This movie's so good. What Phil Lord and Chris Miller did with this movie is brilliant. And Chris Pratt, he was a great choice to play the lead character Emmett. He is so funny, so likable. The animation is beautiful. The jokes in this movie are just amazing. The visuals, the slapstick, the references, the one-liners, everything about this movie is laugh out loud hilarious. This movie so brilliant, so great, so genius. This entire movie is clever, well written, beautifully designed, and it has amazing voice acting. And Chris Pratt adds to the amazing voice acting in the Lego Movie, which is awesome. And my number 1 favorite Chris Pratt movie is Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, him as Star-Lord. Can't wait for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is coming out really soon. This movie's just great. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's a great sci-fi comedy. It is like Firefly. Firefly meets Cowboy Bebop meets the Avengers. It's just so much fun. What James Gunn did with this movie was brilliant. The action, the event, the visuals, the comedy, these characters, all great characters. Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket, Drax, Groot, all of them are hilarious in this movie. The acting's even good. I was really skeptical because they had like Batista and Vin Diesel in this movie, but they worked. Everything worked in this movie. The soundtrack was kick-ass, and the story was very uplifting, very, very funny. Even the opening to this movie is very emotionally hard-hitting. The only thing I had really a problem with was the villain, Ronan the Accuser, but he's just so self-serious. He's kind of funny at times, and yeah, I love it. I love this movie so much. I'm just so excited for the sequel, and what Chris Pratt did with this movie and the whole cast and what James Gunn did with this movie was just amazing. It's hands down one of the funnest movies in the MCU, and hands down my favorite Chris Pratt movie. So yeah, that was my ranking of Chris Pratt's movies from my least favorite to my favorite. So in the comment section below, please tell me what is your favorite Chris Pratt movie, and what is your ranking of all his films from your least favorite to your favorite. Comment below, let me know. And as always for this video, please like, subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.